On the evening of April 27, 2000, I arrived at Shanghai's new Pudong airport. The next morning, we headed to the Bund, Shanghai's famous waterfront promenade along the Huangpu River. Across the river, rising 468 meters, is the Oriental Pearl television broadcast tower. Most of the buildings along the Bund were built during the 1930s and have a range of European architectural styles. Near the Bund, in the heart of Old Town Shanghai, is Yuyuan Garden. The garden was built in 1559 during the Ming Dynasty.
Like snake, the scale like a fish, and the ball like a tree. Now what I want to mention is the note, the level of waiting.
After lunch, we visit a silk carpet factory. These walls show the process of making silk, from harvesting silkworm cocoons to spinning threads and weaving carpets. After our tour of the factory, we went back to the hotel for free time to either rest or explore and go shopping. Following dinner, we headed to the Shanghai East Circus Center to see a performance by the Shanghai Acrobats. The next day, we took a bus trip to Suzhou. Suzhou was the capital of the state of Wu during the Warring States period of China between 403 and 221 BC. Along the highway from Shanghai to Suzhou are many farming communities. Farmers live in the two-story houses that can be seen alongside the road. Suzhou is famous for its many classical gardens. The humble administrator's garden is the largest one in the city. It was initially laid out during the Ming Dynasty in 1513.
Honor in the western section, he thought the scenery here in the central section is much better than his garden. But he wanted to watch this one. So the owner, he had an idea. He built a pavilion over there, see, very high.
Tiger Hill is located in the southwestern part of Suzhou. It is the burial place of King He Lu, the founder of Suzhou, who died in 600 BC. The hill gets its name from a legend dealing with a white tiger that is said to occasionally appear in order to guard the tomb. The pagoda was built in 961 AD. It has been leaning since completion. Suzhou is also famous for its silk production. We visit the Silk Embroidery Institute in order to see how silk is produced. Silkworms feed on the leaves of mulberry trees. About 485 pounds of mulberry leaves is needed to produce 2 pounds of raw silk. After about 30 days of eating, the worms begin to produce a cocoon. The cocoons are placed in hot water to help loosen the filaments. One cocoon can yield as much as 13,000 feet of silk filament. Depending on the thickness desired, the filaments of between 5 and 10 cocoons are drawn together to create one silk thread. Suzhou is also known for its many canoes. Marco Polo dubbed Suzhou the Venice of the East. The Grand Canal, which passes through Suzhou, is the world's oldest and longest canal. Building began in 486 BC during the Wu Dynasty. It goes from Hangzhou in the south to Beijing in the north. We had a long journey back to Shanghai from Suzhou due to some heavy traffic caused by a police checkpoint. We boarded the ship the Victoria Pearl to begin our cruise up the Yangtze River. The window of my cabin provided an excellent view of the Shanghai night. Our first stop on our cruise up the Yangtze River is Yangzhou. Yangzhou was one of the three capitals during the Sui dynasty. The city is best known for Slender West Lake, also known as Thin or Slim West Lake. This man-made lake was built during the Tang dynasty. It is called Slender West Lake because a poet once likened the lake to Hangzhou's famous West Lake. A little before noon, we reboarded the Victoria Pearl and continued our journey up the Yangtze to our afternoon destination of Nanjing. Nanjing is one of eastern China's main industrial centers. Nanjing means southern capital and was the capital of 8 different dynasties. Our first stop in Nanjing was at the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum. Sun Yat-sen was the leader of the 1911 nationalist revolution that overthrew the Qing dynasty. After his death in 1925, construction of the mausoleum began. It was finished in 1929. There are 392 steps from the entrance gate of the mausoleum to the memorial hall at the top.
Take my camera lens. That's enough. That's enough.
After leaving the Sun Yat-sen Mausoleum, we were supposed to visit the Temple of Confucius that lies in the middle of a Qing Dynasty-style bazaar. Unfortunately, by the time we navigated through this bazaar, the temple was already closed.
You following me?
On Monday, May the 1st, we had a full-day excursion to Mount Huangshan, also known as the Yellow Mountains. The Yellow Mountains have been immortalized by poets and painters for its wonderful scenery.
They had a father and a son entertaining. That's usually the deal.
Just stand over. Asa. Wait, they shot.
Good job, Kristen.
After a long and tiring day, we headed back to the boat, but not before stopping to get some pictures of a water buffalo. The next day, we had another full-day excursion, this time to Mount Lushan. From Zhujiang, we took a 2-hour bus trip to the Meilu Villa at Lushan. This villa was Chiang Kai-shek's summer residence. Amongst the many exhibits in the villa, my mother was surprised to discover these writings by her cousin's grandfather, who knew Chiang Kai-shek.
This is Mr. Jiang. Mr. Jiang.
My cousin's grandfather. I told you I have to stand on a long beard. That's the guy.
Most of them were bombed, but it still remained only 1,200.
In the afternoon, we were supposed to visit some other sites. Unfortunately, it was Labor Week, and most workers had the entire week off. Thus, the traffic was incredibly bad, so we had to start our journey back to Zhujiang early. On our way back to the Victoria Pearl, we did stop at a tea store there. Here we saw a demonstration on how to properly prepare tea. We also had a chance to buy some freshly packed tea leaves, as well as other snacks.
Yes. The better one is 150. The less better one is 140.
You want four or something?
Sounds like it's one that is.
After dinner, the staff of the Victoria Pearl, as well as some passengers, provided entertainment in the form of a crew cabaret.
There's an emperor in yellow, and there's one in the red. There's an emperor. It's a greetings from the emperors of Qing Dynasty.
Our stop in Wuhan on May 3rd marked the halfway point in our cruise up the Yangtze River. Our first stop in the morning was the Hubei Provincial Museum. The main attraction is the chime bells that were unearthed from the tomb of Marquis Yi of the Zheng state, who was entombed around 433 BC. Here, musicians are playing on full-scale replicas of the bells. After the museum, we went to the Yellow Crane Tower. This is the symbol of Wuhan. The tower was originally built in 223 AD. Since then, it has been destroyed and rebuilt many times. The current tower was rebuilt in 1985 using its last design from the Qing dynasty. After visiting the Yellow Crane Tower, we headed back to the Victoria Pearl. After lunch, we were allowed to explore the city of Wuhan on our own. The next morning, we stopped for a shore excursion to Yuyang Tower. This tower was originally built in 716 AD during the Tang Dynasty. Not a single nail was used in its construction. Like quite a few other towers and pagodas in China, it too was rebuilt many times over the years. This is the Thrice Drunken Pavilion. It contains a painting of the Taoist immortal Lu Dongbin. He is obviously an immortal because he has a remarkable ability to look at his food with one of his eyes, and with the other, his wine jug. Because our tour group liked water buffalo so much, we again had the bus stopped on the way back to the Victoria Pearl so that we could get off and take pictures. After lunch, we were given demonstrations of Chinese acupressure and brush painting.
To sell this demonstration, is he going to sell the... Asking how much?
The rest of the afternoon was spent relaxing. Later, a reception by the captain was held, and after dinner, there was a fashion show performed by the staff of the Victoria Pearl.
You'll see the characteristic of the Han Dynasty fashion is with a big sleeve. It's a greetings from the Han Dynasty. Actually, gentleman with his wife on the left-hand side and his concubine on the right-hand side. With the folding in his hand. In old days, the gentleman holding the folding to show he was well educated and knowledgeable. It's a greetings from the Ming Dynasty, 600. I think you know what they are. So, actually, it's the emperor and the empress of the Qing Dynasty. Qing Dynasty started from the middle of the 17th century and ended in the earlier 20th century. Look at the emperor. The emperor is yellow with the embroidery dragon design on the dress. And the empress is in red with the embroidery phoenix design on the dress. Greetings from the Qing Dynasty. Thank you.
白雪中，讓你心中去走落冰凍，那風吹我醒，原來共你是。
Both sides, so it's fully set of the beauty of the female shape. And you can see the high color
The Jezebel Dam is the entrance to the Three Gorges. It is currently the largest dam in China, with a width of 8,202 feet and a height of 154 feet. To get past the dam, we had to go through a large ship lock. After finally passing through the ship lock, we entered the first of the three gorges, the Xian Gorge. This is the longest, and historically, the most dangerous of the three gorges.
And the Xian Gorge actually used to be very, very dangerous for the navigation. And while the building is actually
While passing through the Xian Gorge, we stopped in the town of Maoping and got on a bus to go to the Three Gorges Dam site. This is a model of what the $73.2 billion dam will look like once complete. When the dam is completed in 2009, the upstream water level will have risen 175 meters. Its 26 turbine generators will have a generating capacity of 18,200 megawatts. Its 5 ship locks will be able to handle 10,000-ton barges, and the 22.1 billion cubic meter reservoir should be able to reduce the number of big downstream floods from once every 10 years to once every 100 years. Unfortunately, all this progress will come at a cost. Over 1,000 historical sites will either have to be moved or be flooded. 19 cities and 326 villages will have to be demolished. The Chinese government will end up having to resettle between 1.1 and 1.9 million people. The government is building new towns on higher ground, and, in some cases, giving villages a lump sum payment to allow them to build their own villages as they see fit. This was one case where we were lucky that it was Labor Week. Ordinarily, visibility is poor because of all the construction going on. But, because all of the 25,000 workers had the week off, we had an excellent view of the construction site.
Who take this road, so you can see the detail to your left hand side.
After our tour of the Three Gorges Dam site, we continued our cruise up the Yangtze through the Xian Gorge. These pathways along the gorge is where hundreds of tractors used to pull junks upstream.
That's a good truck, John.
Of the Wang Zhaojun. Yes, building, one of the four Chinese civilization building. Believed it's 2,100 years ago, during the Han Dynasty. And
Later in the afternoon, we left the Xian Gorge and entered the Wu Gorge. We left the Wu Gorge at dusk, passing by Goddess Peak.
so, ladies and gentlemen, we have passed the most beautiful part of the gorge, and further up, we have found another maybe.
On May 6, we arrived at Xian. Because of the Three Gorges Dam, the city will be submerged underneath the Yangtze River by 2009. After leaving the Victoria Pearl, we took a short bus trip through the city to the Danning River. The Danning River marks the entrance point to the lesser Three Gorges. Here's where we boarded motorized sampans that took us up the river. These holes along the cliff originally held stakes to support walkways along the wall.
I'm come downstairs and move into the boat again. But today our boat has two motors, and we've got 4 strong guys.
This is a marker that shows where the water level will be once the Three Gorges Dam is complete. By 2009, much of the beauty of the lesser Three Gorges will be lost forever.
I will, probably a little. Probably got divorced because his wife couldn't do the wash properly.
Okay, any answers? Okay, panda bear. The lady here gives us the right answer. Panda bear. Okay, no pandas, no stray caves, just because the whole thing looks like a panda, so call that panda cave.
our trip up the Danning River, we saw a couple of people selling souvenirs such as lacquered wooden canes. We later discovered that the canes were actually made of hard plastic. Because the water level was so low at some places, the boatmen had to use bamboo poles to help get the sampans up the river. One of the boatmen on our sampan lost his pole, so at one point we had to get towed by another sampan to get up the river. After lunch, the Victoria Pearl entered the Kutang Gorge. The Kutang Gorge is only 8 kilometers long, the shortest of the 3 gorges. Later in the afternoon, we had Chinese kite and calligraphy demonstrations.
Years ago, sometimes it's a girl and the boy love each other, but the girl born in a rich family and the boy in a poor family. So.
Yeah, that was so neat. Looks like it's fun.
Oh, 放大了，你的意思是这样？
Uh-huh.
After dinner, we had our second crew cabaret. The next day, we arrived at the city of Wanshan. Wanshan is the largest city that will be affected by the rising water level. Over 800,000 people will have to be resettled on the higher ground. A museum was our first stop at Wanshan. This museum contained many relics that were excavated from the surrounding area. The most notable exhibit in the museum was that of the hanging coffins. These coffins were suspended to the sides of the gorges by the mysterious Ba people over 2,000 years ago. Some can still be seen hanging along the sides of the Yangtze and Danning rivers. After leaving the museum, we took a short bus trip to Wanshan's free market. The last thing we did before heading back to the Victoria Pearl was to see a performance by a troupe of child acrobats. In the afternoon, we passed by the Shibozai Pagoda. It was built in the 1700s. After the Three Gorges Dam is complete, the water level will be at the base of this pagoda, and the surrounding village will be wiped out. After we passed Shibuzai, the staff of the Victoria Pearl gave lessons on playing mahjong, dumpling making, and vegetable carving.
Because you don't have anything to go with any of those.
When you learn it, it's not your turn.
Yeah, it's gonna go here.
They said a couple of things you like. Very much.
I don't think my flour is very
Later, our tour group got a special tour of the ship's bridge.
Downstream going
rest of this final afternoon aboard the Victoria Pearl was spent relaxing and getting ready for the captain's farewell dinner. We arrived at Chongqing on the morning of May the 8th. After early morning Tai Chi and breakfast, we departed the Victoria Pearl for the final time. Chongqing is a very mountainous city, similar to San Francisco. During World War II, the nationalist government moved the capital to here. This is the People's Assembly Hall. It was built in 1951 and modeled after the Temple of Heaven in Beijing. Inside is a 4,000-seat auditorium. After lunch, we headed to the Chongqing Zoo to see both the giant and lesser pandas. Late in the afternoon, we headed to the airport and flew to Xian. Xian was one of the ancient capitals of China for 12 dynasties. The first landmark we visited in Xian was the Big Wild Goose Pagoda. It was originally built in 652 AD during the Tang Dynasty as a place for translating and storing Buddhist scriptures. The original pagoda had 7 stories. Due to decay, it was reconstructed as a 10-story pagoda in 701 AD. It was rebuilt a final time during the Qing Dynasty as a 7-story, 64-meter-high pagoda. After we left the Big Wild Goose Pagoda, we headed to a jade factory. This is the old city wall of Xian. It was built during the early Ming Dynasty around 600 years ago.
So that's the age of our city wall, and also the place we're going to visit is called the Bell Tower. It's built in the same time, 600 years old. Bell Tower, Drum Tower. So that's the place we're going to visit.
Also built during the Ming Dynasty are the drum and bell towers in the center of the city. The bell in the bell tower was used to signal the time in the morning, while the drum in the drum tower was used to signal dusk. According to legend, the first emperor of the Ming Dynasty ordered bell towers to be built all across the country in order to repress dragon spirits. Since he was actually born poor, he was afraid of being deposed by real Chinese royalty, which were considered dragons. Since Xian was a site of imperial capitals in ancient times, he wanted the bell tower in Xian to be extra large as a precaution against a great many dragon spirits that he believed roamed the city.
Now we are driving outside of our south city gate here.
In the afternoon, we headed to the Terracotta Warriors Museum a bit outside of Xian. In 1974, farmers digging a well discovered the mausoleum of the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, who died in 210 BC. Here, over 6,000 life-size terracotta warriors and horses can be found in the first excavation pit alone. While the terracotta warriors all look similar, each one has a unique face. Currently, you are allowed to take pictures in the museum as long as you don't get caught. If a soldier catches you, he will escort you out of the museum. They used to also take your film, but they don't do this anymore.
Soda shirt. Look at the horses, the horses.
Outside of the Terracotta Warriors Museum are many small shops and vendors. If you're good at bargaining, you can purchase some souvenirs and other goods at a very good price.
Okay, well, how much you pay? What? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, give you. 60 for 100 yuan. Okay, 60 yuan.
60 yen, yeah, for 6. Let me pick that.
Our last full day in Xian ended with a Tang Dynasty dinner show. On May the 10th, we flew to Beijing. After traveling through rush hour traffic, we arrived at Tiananmen Square. Tiananmen Square was originally laid out in 1651. It was cemented and quadrupled in size in 1958. It is one of the largest squares in the world, capable of holding up to 1 million people. This gate with Mao's picture on it is Tiananmen Gate, the Gate of Heavenly Peace. It leads to the Forbidden City. In the center of the square is the Monument of People's Heroes. This large building is the Chairman Mao Memorial Hall. In it lies a crystal sarcophagus containing Mao's corpse for all to see. We left Tiananmen Square and had dinner. After dinner, we headed for a summarized showing of the Beijing Opera. Because of the traffic, we spent a lot of time staring out of the bus's window. On our way back to the hotel after the opera, we were able to see Beijing dressed in lights.
Yeah, this afternoon. It's the southern part of the Tiananmen.
The next morning, we visited the Forbidden City. Now called the Palace Museum, building was complete in 1420 during the Ming Dynasty. It was called the Forbidden City because commoners were not allowed inside. The Forbidden City occupies an area of over 2 million square feet and contains 9,999 rooms. This is the Meridian Gate. It is about 125 feet high and marks the main entrance into the city. The main buildings in the Forbidden City are arranged down the center. The Hall of Supreme Harmony, seen here, was used for important ceremonies. It's the tallest building within the city. The Hall of Medium Harmony was used by the Emperor to rest and to receive officials. The Hall of Protective Harmony contained the Emperor's primary throne. The Hall of Heavenly Purity is where the Emperor attended to daily state affairs. In the afternoon, we headed to the Summer Palace. Building began in 1153 during the Jin Dynasty. This is one of the largest imperial Chinese gardens. The main landmarks are Longevity Hill and the man-made Kunming Lake. It is not recommended that you attempt to sell things within the garden. Police are on the lookout for vendors selling without permits. This is a long corridor. The 728-meter long corridor is decorated with over 8,000 unique paintings along the beams, rafters, and pillars.
That's my picture. Through the very artistic. It's going to be everywhere.
This marble boat was commissioned by the Dowager Empress Cixi to symbolize the might of the Qing dynasty. Near the Summer Palace, we visited a cloisonné factory. Cloisonné is a type of enamelware in which the colors are kept separate by copper strips. The technique for creating cloisonné was originally developed in the 14th century during the Yuan dynasty. For dinner, we went to a restaurant that specialized in Peking duck. The cooking process for making Peking duck is quite lengthy and involved. They are hung in specially constructed ovens until the skin becomes reddish brown and glistening with grease. Proper Peking duck is served by the chef, who cuts the duck into very thin slices which must contain skin. The slices are served on thin pancakes with shredded scallions and hoisin sauce. In our final full day in China, we headed outside of Beijing to the Ming Tombs and the Great Wall. The Ming Tombs are located 50 kilometers northwest of Beijing. Construction began in 1409. 13 emperors of the Ming dynasty were buried here. This is the grounds of the Chongqing tomb. It was built in 1413 for the third emperor of the Ming dynasty, Yangtze. After visiting the Chongqing tomb, we headed to the Sacred Way. This road was used for imperial funeral processions during the Ming dynasty. It is lined with statues of humans and animals in order to symbolize their eternal service to the emperor. For lunch, we ate at a friendship store in the area. Here, we did some last-minute shopping for high-quality souvenirs. After lunch, we headed to our final attraction in our tour of China, the Great Wall at Beijing. Construction of the Great Wall first began in the 7th century BC during the Zhou dynasty. Most of the work on the wall was during the Qin dynasty, where the individual sections of the wall were finally connected. During the Ming dynasty in the 1400s, the wall was renovated to its present form. The wall was built to protect the Chinese Empire from invaders in the north. For the most part, it succeeded. It didn't when the Chinese government was weak and the people in turmoil. The Mongols took advantage of the situation during the 14th century and conquered China to form the Yuan dynasty. The Manchurians did the same during the 17th century to form the Qing dynasty. After leaving the Great Wall, we headed back to Beijing for our final dinner in China. The next day, we headed back to the United States.